So I love Canada. Canada is always willing to help its citizens. We have this beautiful safety net that protects us, no matter what happens. As a Canadian, if I get injured, let's say, if I can't, let's say, break my leg, I know that I can go to the hospital, and I know that regardless of what's happened to me, I will be taken care of. And I will not have to pay an exorbitant out-of-pocket fee that I might not be able to afford. This goes for other things as well. When I was an employee in Canada, if I was to lose my job, let's say, I would get income support. I would not end up on the streets. If I was to have a child, I'd get things like childcare. I'd be able to take time off to be with that child. I'm able to save my retirement and plan for my future. These are all things that Canada offers to me. Now, 4 years ago, I decided to start digital nomading. And when I did that, what I immediately started to feel was a sense of unease. I digital nomaded because I wanted to explore the world, to experience new places, new cultures, new food. Yet there's this lingering feeling that built up over time. This feeling that something wasn't quite right. This question of what if? What if I lost my job? Would I have to go home? This life is just over? What if I got really sick and I couldn't work? I was dependent on work to live that lifestyle that I was living. What hospital would I go to? All these questions lingered on me. I think the biggest one was, what would I do with my future? I knew the only way I could live the lifestyle I was living right now was because life is perfect. But what if life is not perfect in the future? What would I do then? The lifestyle that I've been building towards for so long would be like that. And so this feeling builds, and it was what made me almost want to return back home to Canada, not because I wanted to be back in Canada, but because I wanted that feeling of safety, of protection, and of reassurance again. You see, we have this problem, which is that 25 years ago, the internet became a thing. And with that, all of a sudden, all of us can live the lifestyle that we're living today. You can go anywhere in the world, you can work remotely, yet at the same time, the safety nets to protect us, the infrastructure that countries give us, which make being human, the things that are fundamental, that sense of safety, that sense of protection, that sense of security, those end their borders. And so you have this problem. And this isn't to take away from the fact that nomading is not a movement. This is something that's here to stay, and it's here for good. But at the same time, if you were to investigate further into this data, what you would figure out is that of nomads, of people that have been nomading for less than 3 years, there is an ever-increasing percentage of those people that will quit nomading. And I think the reason for that is the same thing that I felt. Where as soon as you start living this lifestyle, it's fantastic. There's the traveling, the adventure, the meeting new people, but it wears you down. There's that ever sense of question of what if, what will happen if, and that security that you never really truly feel while on the road. And so that's the problem that we're trying to solve with SafetyWing. And to do this, I think we need to build a global social safety net. Something that protects you, that gives you that feeling of reassurance, regardless of where you decide to go in the world, or regardless of what you decide to do. And that's specifically where Nomad Citizen comes into play. But before we get there, I want to spend a minute and talk about why I joined SafetyWing in the first place. So I joined about 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. And at that time, we had nomad insurance. That was our main thing. It was if you wanted to go travel, you could get basic travel insurance to do that thing, right? And it solves that question of, okay, well, at least I know if something really, really bad happens to me, I'm not going to, like someone's going to look after me. But it doesn't answer any of those other questions. And so then we built Nomad Health and Remote Health. And these were all focused around, okay, now no matter where you go in the world, you can access some fundamental health protections. You can go see a doctor, you can get some checkups done. So something I might reasonably expect in my home country, I can now do on the road. But we're still missing this problem of this what if, right? The lifestyle that we all live is such a fact that we're able to work and we have a job that perfectly supports it, whether you're employed or you're a freelancer. But that's not always going to be the case. And so that is where the final product, our natural next step, I think our ultimate product, which is a Nomad Citizen membership. But it goes, I think, a level beyond just solving for certainty while on the move. Because here's the thing. If you look at everything that's part of your life, that probably makes you feel safe and secure. It could be things like relationships. It could be things like health insurance. It could be income protection. It could be retirement savings, whatever that thing is. They're almost always either attached to the company that you work for or the country that you're from. For example, health insurance. Many of you are probably European. You get that while you're in Europe, but as soon as you leave Europe, you have to figure something else out. As an American, if you're American in here, you know this. Health insurance is tied to work. As soon as you leave work, you want to start your own thing, let's say, become a freelancer. All of a sudden, you have to figure out how to afford $8,000 to $10,000 extra every year to pay for your health insurance in America. With things like income protection, parental leave, retirement, saving for the future, these are usually attached to your country. As soon as you leave your country, you throw that all out the window. I want to just tell you another personal story, which is I used to work as a Canadian employee before I became a contractor at SafetyWing. And when I was making that decision about do I want to become a contractor at SafetyWing or do I want to keep doing what I was doing, it wasn't just a question of measuring opportunity. What did I want to do more? Instead, when I was making that decision, I had to consider all the things I was going to lose by becoming a contractor. You see, in Canada, you only get all those beautiful things I told you about at the start if you're working as an employee for a Canadian company in Canada. As soon as I became a contractor for a non-Canadian company, I don't get income protection anymore. If I lose my job, that's on me to figure out what happens next. I don't get things like parental leave. I don't get the same opportunities as others do to save for things like retirement or plan for my future. We have this problem, right, which is that our opportunities, we've had more opportunities in our life than anyone has ever had in history. The internet has enabled that, yet at the same time, we have more restrictions in place than we've ever had to taking those opportunities. Passport is a fantastic example. If you don't have a powerful passport, you can't go to certain places. Not based on who you are or how much you make or where you work, but purely based on the fact of where you were born. If you want to switch countries or move businesses, like I was explaining before, you have to figure out how you're going to replace that safety net. Or in my case, you suffer with the uncertainty of what will happen if. And so that fundamentally is what we're trying to build with Nomad Citizen. We're trying to build this sense of certainty, this sense of long-term protection, and being able to move around the world not limited by barriers or geographical barriers or borders. Right? Imagine each and every single one of you in here today. You could get a Nomad Citizen number, let's say, much like you get a social security number in the US. And no matter which company you work for, you could bring that membership with you, and that company would pay into it. And if you decide to freelance one day, you could pay into that membership like you would normally. And if you move countries, you don't have to worry about restarting everything all over again, just like I did when I moved recently. That membership, that citizenship comes with you. And so we're not just trying to build an insurance product or something like that. What we're trying to build is a membership, a first version of what will eventually become a country on the internet. And so if I was to summarize, I think, a few things that I've talked about today, or the core point is that the world's changed. We're living in a new movement, a new way of living that was not possible before, but our systems haven't adapted to the new way that we are living. We have problems like uncertainty while traveling. That sense of like, oh, I just really want to settle somewhere, I need to go back home. We're not able to take all the opportunity we want in this world because there's things that stand in our way, barriers and trade-offs, hard trade-offs that we have to make. And so how are we trying to solve this with Nomad Citizen? There's three things that we tried to do. Number one is we wanted to build an extraordinarily premium medical product. And the logic there is your health is always going to be most important. If you don't have your health, then you don't have anything else. And so beyond just having a premium coverage, we've added in things like 24/7 concierge. So no matter where you are in the world, you get support. Emergencies, planning treatment, etc. It's things about being able to go anywhere in the world to access the best treatment possible. If you live in Bali, but the best doctor for your case is Singapore, you can go there, that's facilitated. It's about preemptive care. So much of our health insurance in so many countries is predicated on solving a problem after it's become a problem. But we want to flip that narrative on its head. The second part of it is all around solving that problem of opportunity, that we can't pursue opportunity because there's so many things that limit us, whether it's where you're from or the safety nets we have in place back in the country. We want to do that through fundamental income protections that everyone gets access to. So whether you're a contractor, an employee, a business owner, or your employer, you can access income if you lost your job, or a contract, or a client, or the business would sell. $4,000 per month until you get back on your feet. If you want to have a kid, you want to take time off to be with that kid, $4,000 a month to do that. If something happens to you, like you're sick, I know some of you here are freelancers, which means you get paid week to week. If you don't do the work, you don't get paid. If you're sick for 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, you get paid $4,000 a month until you're back to work. The same thing goes for more serious conditions, called a disability, maybe even death. You or your family is supported in that case. And in the future, we want to add in things like retirement, like bank accounts where you're actually able to save money, and that way when you move between countries, you don't have to restart, sell everything, and start over, much like I did when I left Canada recently. And then the third part of this is solving that uncertainty while traveling. Making it really easy, so easy to move, that people move and they live this lifestyle because they get access to a better quality of life than they would living back home. And so we're doing that through a product where you get really easy access to nomad visas. I've applied for many myself. They're a great way to stay in a country a little bit longer than a typical visa might allow, but they're a pain in the ass to apply for. So we make it really easy. You tell us the visa you want from the list. We do all the work on the back end to get that thing for you. It's adding in things like basic travel protection, such that no matter where you go, you're always going to have some sense of protection. And then most importantly, it's about community. Not only community like this, but leveraging the experience of others, such that when you're moving to a new place, let's say you're moving to Spain, you want to set up your business, you're able to talk to the right people who can recommend that lawyer contact or whoever that might be to get you set up there. So at its core, Nomad Citizen, what we're betting on is freedom. What we're betting on is choice. And while this might be the first step in building a membership, our eventual goal here is to be able to build the first country on the internet. And so if that is not a vision for the future, then I don't know what is. Thank you.